The alarm clock screamed at 4:30 a.m., its shrill cry cutting through the darkness like a knife. Michael's hand shot out from under the covers, fumbling across the nightstand until his fingers found the snooze button. He lay there for a moment, eyes still closed, feeling the familiar ache in his lower back and the heaviness in his limbs that never quite went away anymore. 3 hours of sleep. Maybe. For if he was lucky. He turned his head slowly on the pillow and looked at Claire. Even in the dim pre-dawn light filtering through the curtains, she was beautiful. Her auburn hair spilled across the white pillowcase like silk, and her face, relaxed in sleep, held that serene quality that had first captured his heart 5 years ago at a coffee shop downtown. Her hand rested protectively on the gentle swell of her belly, now 6 months round with their child. Our child, Michael thought, and despite the exhaustion weighing down every bone in his body, he smiled. He eased himself out of bed with the practiced silence of someone who'd been doing this routine 4 months. The floorboards knew exactly where to creak, and he knew exactly where to step to avoid them. In the bathroom, he splashed cold water on his face and stared at his reflection. 32 years old, but the man looking back at him could have been 40. Dark circles under his eyes, a few gray hairs beginning to pepper his temples, skin that looked perpetually tired. Worth it, he told himself. All worth it. By 5 a.m., he was out the door, climbing into his decade-old Honda Civic that coughed and sputtered before finally turning over. The city was still asleep. As he drove through empty streets toward the warehouse district where he worked his first job of the day. Michael had been a graphic designer once, working reasonable hours at a small firm downtown. The pay had been decent, the work fulfilling. But when Claire got pregnant, a surprise, but a beautiful one, reality had set in. Fast. Their one-bedroom apartment would need to become a 2-bedroom. There would be diapers, formula, clothes, medical bills, childcare. The numbers didn't add up on his salary alone, and Claire had stopped working 2 months into the pregnancy due to severe morning sickness that never quite went away. "I'm so sorry, baby," she'd said, tears streaming down her face as she lay on the bathroom floor after another bout of vomiting. "I'm trying. I really am." Hey, Michael had soothed, holding her hair back, rubbing her back in slow circles. "Don't apologize. You're growing our baby. That's the hardest job there is. I've got this. I'll take care of us." And he had meant it. So Michael had taken on a second job loading trucks at a warehouse from 5:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., then rushed to his design job from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and 3 nights a week, he drove for a rideshare service from 7 o'clock p.m. until midnight or later. He slept in fragments, ate when he could, and ran on coffee and determination. The warehouse was cold in the early morning, his breath visible in clouds as he hauled boxes from conveyor belts to pallets. His muscles screamed in protest, but he pushed through. Around him, other men did the same: immigrants, students, fathers, all trying to survive in a city that demanded everything and gave back just enough to keep you hungry. "You look like hell," Mike said. Carlos, a 50-year-old from El Salvador who worked the station next to him. "Feel like it too," Michael grunted, lifting a box marked "fragile" that was anything but light. "That baby here yet?" 3 more months. Carlos whistled low. 3 more months of this? "Man, you're gonna be dead before you're a daddy." Michael forced a laugh. "I'll sleep when the baby comes." Carlos snorted. "That's what you think." At 9 a.m., Michael clocked out, his shirt soaked with sweat despite the cold. He Had 30 minutes to get across town to his design job. He kept a change of clothes in his car, deodorant, and a toothbrush. In a gas station bathroom, he transformed himself from warehouse worker to creative professional, though the exhaustion in his eyes couldn't be hidden. His boss, Margaret, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, called him into her office around 11 a.m. "Michael, sit down." He sat, anxiety prickling at the back of his neck. "Is something wrong with the Henderson project?" "I can revise, your work is fine." "Excellent, actually, as always." She folded her hands on her desk. "I'm concerned about you. You look exhausted. You've been falling asleep at your desk." "I'm sorry, Margaret. It won't happen again. I've just been, I know about the baby. Congratulations, by the way." Her expression softened slightly. "But Michael, you can't keep burning the candle at both ends like this. You're going to make yourself sick." "I'm fine. Really. Just a few more months until Claire can go back to work, and then you'll have a newborn and no sleep anyway." Margaret sighed. "Look, I'm not trying to add to your stress. I'm just saying, be careful. We need you here, but we need you healthy." "Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do." Back at his desk, Michael pulled out his phone and texted Claire, "How are you feeling today, beautiful?" 3 dots. Appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, tired. "Baby's been kicking all morning. Miss you, miss you too. I'll bring dinner home tonight. Craving anything special, you're too good to me. Surprise me, Michael smiled, despite the fatigue. Always, what Michael couldn't see, was Claire on the other end of that text message, lying on their bed with a very different expression on her face than the loving wife he imagined. She was smiling, but not at his message. She switched to another conversation thread, one that she kept under a contact. Labeled it Sarah, Jim, but which was very much not Sarah from the gym. He's working late again tonight, she typed. "Can you meet me at 2? The response was almost immediate. "The usual place, yes. I need to see you, miss you too, baby. See you soon." Claire deleted the messages, a practice motion she'd performed hundreds of times over the past 8 months. She got up from the bed, studying herself in the full-length mirror. The pregnancy had been kind to her figure, she'd gained weight only in her belly, and her face had that luminous glow everyone talked about. She was still beautiful. Still desirable. Still wanted. She dressed carefully, a flowing maternity dress that was both comfortable and flattering, light makeup that looked natural, hair pulled back in a casual ponytail. The picture of a devoted, pregnant wife. At 1:45 p.m., she was in her car, driving across town to a small boutique hotel, tucked away in a neighborhood where she'd never run into anyone she knew. She'd chosen it carefully months ago, when this had all started. Derek was already there, waiting in the room. He'd texted her the number, 412. She knocked softly, and the door opened immediately. "There she is," Derek said, his voice smooth as honey. His smile the same one that had made her heart race when they'd reconnected at a college reunion 9 months ago. "More beautiful every time I see you." He was everything Michael wasn't. Tall, confident, successful in the effortless way that came from family, money, and connections. He wore expensive clothes casually, drove a BMW, and lived in a downtown loft with floor-to-ceiling windows. He was the life she'd once imagined for herself before she'd settled for no. She pushed that thought away. She didn't like to think of it as settling. I can't stay long, Claire said, stepping into the room. He might call. Then we'd better not waste time, Derek replied, pulling her close. Afterward, lying in the tangled hotel sheets, Derek traced lazy circles on her shoulder. Have you thought about what I said? About what? About telling him. Claire stiffened. Derek, we've talked about this. I know. No. But Claire. He propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at her. This baby. There's a chance, don't. She sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. Don't say it. We have to talk about it eventually. No, we don't. The timing. It could be Michael's. It probably is. But it might not be. The words hung in the air between them, heavy and undeniable. Claire had done the math 100 times. She'd gotten pregnant right around the time she and Derek had started seeing each other. The dates overlapped just enough that there was no way to be certain without a test, and she'd been very careful not to suggest one. Michael is a good man, she said quietly. He's working himself to death for this baby. For me. And you feel guilty. Of course I feel guilty. She stood up, starting to dress. But what do you want me to do, Derek? Blow up my entire life? Michael's life? This baby's life? I want you to be with me. Really be with me. Not sneaking around like this. You knew what this was when it started. Yeah, I did. But that was before, he gestured at her belly. Before it got complicated. Claire finished dressing in silence. This was the part she hated, the part where reality intruded on the fantasy. When she was with Derek, she could forget about the cramped apartment, the bills, Michael's exhausted face every morning. She could forget about being responsible, about consequences. But they always came back. I have to go, she said. Claire, I'll text you. She left before he could say anything else, driving home with tears in her eyes that she carefully wiped away before pulling into the apartment complex parking lot. Michael came home at 6:30 p.m. carrying bags from Claire's favorite Thai restaurant. The apartment was small but tidy. Claire had always been good about keeping things clean, one of the many things he appreciated about her. Honey, I'm home, he called out, setting the bags on the kitchen counter. Claire emerged from the bedroom, and Michael's heart still did that little skip it had done since the day they met. She smiled at him, and he crossed the room to kiss her forehead, then knelt down to kiss her belly. Hey, there, little one, he murmured. Daddy's home. You spoil us, Claire said, running her fingers through his hair. That's my job. He stood up, groaning slightly as his back protested. How was your day? Were you feeling okay? Better now that you're here. I had a doctor's appointment. Michael's face fell. Oh no. I completely forgot. I'm so sorry, Claire. I should've. It's okay, baby. You were working. Everything's fine. The baby's healthy, heartbeat strong. Dr. Morrison said everything looks perfect. Relief flooded through him. That's good. That's really good. He started unpacking the food. I got your favorite, the pad thai with extra peanuts, and the green curry, and Michael. Claire's voice was soft. Sit down. You look like you're about to collapse. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're exhausted. When's the last time you slept a full night? I don't remember, he admitted with a weak laugh. But it's worth it. All of this is worth it. Claire's eyes glistened with tears. I don't deserve you. Hey, don't say that. He pulled her into his arms, careful of her belly. You're carrying our child. You're giving me the greatest gift in the world. I should be the one saying I don't deserve you. If only he could see the guilt written across her face in that moment, buried against his shoulder, where he couldn't see it. They ate dinner together, Claire talking about baby names and nursery colors, Michael listening with the attention of a man who found everything his wife said fascinating. After dinner, he insisted on doing the dishes while she rested on the couch. I have to head out for a few rideshare runs, he said, drying his hands. But I'll try to be home by midnight. You're going out again? Claire's voice held a note of complaint. You just got home. I know, baby. I know. But we're so close to having enough saved up for the nursery furniture and the first few months of expenses. Just a few more weeks of this, and I can cut back on the rideshare stuff. I promise. Claire sighed but nodded. Be safe out there. Always am. He kissed her goodbye, grabbed his keys, and headed back out into the night. The rideshare shifts were the hardest. At least at the warehouse, he was moving, staying active. At his design job, he was using his mind. But driving, especially late at night, required him to fight against every instinct his body had to shut down and sleep. He picked up drunk college students, tired nurses getting off third shift, business people heading to the airport for red-eye flights. He smiled, made small talk when they wanted it, stayed quiet when they didn't. He kept the car clean, offered phone chargers and water bottles, maintained a 4.9-star rating. At 11:47 p.m., he accepted what he promised himself would be his last ride of the night. A pickup from a downtown bar, destination a hotel across town. When he pulled up, a couple stumbled out, a man in an expensive suit with his arm around a woman in a tight dress. They were laughing, clearly drunk, clearly into each other. They tumbled into his back seat, and the man immediately started kissing the woman's neck. Hey, folks, Michael said tiredly. I'm happy to take you where you need to go, but let's keep it PG back there, okay? Sorry, the man laughed. We're just celebrating. Got a hotel room for the night. Wife thinks I'm at a conference. The woman giggled. And my boyfriend thinks I'm at my sister's. They both burst into laughter, and Michael felt something cold settle in his stomach. He didn't say anything, just drove, but he couldn't help thinking about Claire at home. About trust, about vows. Not everyone cheats, he told himself. Claire would never. She loves me. We're having a baby together. He dropped the couple off at their hotel, watched them stumble inside, and felt grateful, so deeply grateful, that he had something real with Claire. Something honest. If only he knew. The months passed in a blur of exhaustion and anticipation. Claire's belly grew rounder. The nursery slowly came together, and Michael worked himself to the bone. But Claire's double life continued. She'd gotten better at it, more practiced. She knew exactly how long she could be gone without raising suspicion. She knew how to angle her phone so Michael couldn't see the screen. She knew how to delete messages, clear browser history, explain away any inconsistency. And Derek was getting more insistent. Leave him, he'd say during their afternoon meetings. I'll Take care of you. Both of you. It's not that simple. It is that simple. You're not happy. But that was the thing, she was happy. Or at least, she was happy. Enough. Michael adored her. He worked himself to exhaustion for her. He treated her like she was precious, irreplaceable. Derek made her feel alive. She wanted both. And she hated herself for it. At 7 months pregnant, Claire started having Braxton Hicks contractions. Michael panicked the first time, rushing her to the hospital at 2 a.m., only to be told it was false labor. I'm so sorry, Claire said in the car on the way home. I didn't mean to scare you. Don't apologize. I'd rather be safe than sorry. He reached over and squeezed her hand. You and this baby are my whole world, Claire. My whole world. The guilt was eating her alive. At 8 months, Michael's boss Margaret called him into her office again. I'm giving you paternity leave, she said. 2 weeks, paid, starting the day the baby comes. Margaret, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. You've been working harder than anyone here, and you're about to become a father. Take the time. Bond with your baby. Sleep. You've earned it. Michael felt tears prick his eyes. Thank you. Really. Thank you. That night, he came home with flowers and told Claire the good news. 2 weeks off, he said, his excitement palpable. Despite his exhaustion. 2 weeks where I can just be with you and the baby. No warehouse, no late nights driving. Just us. Claire smiled, but inside, she felt panic rising. 2 weeks of Michael home all day? How would she see Derek? How would she manage the lies? That's wonderful, baby, she said, forcing enthusiasm into her voice. Really wonderful. At 8.5 months, Claire's water broke at 3 a.m. Michael was out of bed instantly, suddenly wide awake despite having gotten home from a rideshare shift only 2 hours earlier. Okay, it's okay, he said, though his hands were shaking as he grabbed the hospital bag they'd packed weeks ago. We're ready for this. We've got this. Michael, I'm scared, Claire said, and in that moment, it was true. All the lies, all the deception, it all fell away, and she was just a woman about to give birth, scared and in pain. I know. Baby. I know. But I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. We're doing this together. The drive to the hospital was a blur. The labor was long, 18 hours of pain and exhaustion, and Michael never leaving her side. He held her hand, wiped her forehead, breathed with her through contractions, told her she was strong, she was amazing, she could do this. And when their daughter finally came into the world, screaming and red-faced and perfect, Michael wept. She's beautiful, he whispered, staring at the tiny bundle the nurse placed in his arms. Claire, she's perfect. Look at her. Claire looked, and her heart broke into 1,000 pieces. Because she didn't know. She truly didn't know whose daughter this was. The baby had a tuft of dark hair, but so did both Michael and Derek. She had blue eyes, but all babies had blue eyes at first. There was no way to tell, no obvious answer written on her tiny face. What should we name her? Michael asked, unable to look away from his daughter. Emma, Claire whispered. Let's name her Emma. Emma, Michael repeated. Testing it out. Emma Marie Rodriguez. It's perfect. You're perfect. He looked up at Claire with so much love in his eyes that she had to look away. Thank you. Thank you. For this gift. Thank you for her. I'm going to be the best father I can be. I promise you both that. And Claire cried, but not for the reasons Michael thought. True to his word, Michael was an exceptional father. Those first 2 weeks of paternity leave, he did everything. He changed diapers, learned to swaddle, walked the floor at 2 a.m. when Emma wouldn't sleep, researched sleep training and feeding schedules and developmental milestones. When he had to go back to work, it nearly killed him to leave. I'll be home as soon as I can, he promised Claire every morning, kissing both her and Emma goodbye. Call me if you need anything. Anything at all. He'd cut back to just his design job and weekend warehouse shifts, which meant less money but more time with his family. They'd make it work. They'd figure it out. Claire was alone with Emma most days, and at first, she'd thought she'd be able to resume seeing Derek. But motherhood was harder than she'd anticipated. Emma was colicky, crying for hours on end. Claire was exhausted, overwhelmed, touched out. The thought of sneaking away to a hotel seemed impossible. Derek texted. When can I see you? I can't. Not right now. Baby's too demanding, I miss you, I miss you too. Just, give me time, but weeks turned into months, and Claire found herself settling into motherhood in a way she hadn't expected. Emma's colic eventually passed. She started sleeping longer stretches. She smiled, then laughed, then started reaching for things. And Michael was there for all of it. He came home every night and immediately took Emma, giving Claire a break. He did bath time, making Emma giggle with rubber ducks and silly songs. He read her board books in different voices. He took 1,000 pictures and videos, documenting every moment. Look, Claire, he'd call out. She's trying to roll over. Michael, you have to see this, she grabbed my finger. I swear she said a dada. I know she's too young, but I swear that's what it sounded like. His love for Emma was so pure, so complete, that Claire found herself almost believing that everything would be okay. That Emma was his. That the affair with Derek had been a momentary lapse, a mistake that was behind her now. Derek kept texting, but less frequently. Then he called. I need to see you, he said. Derek, I can't. I told you. Claire, we need to talk about this. About Emma. I've been thinking, and I deserve to know if she's mine. She's not. How do you know? I just know. That's not good enough. I want a paternity test. No. Claire, I said no. Derek, this is over. It has to be over. I have a family now. A real family. Please, just let me go. There was a long silence on the other end. Then, fine. But you're making a mistake. And when you realize that, don't come crying to me. He hung up. Claire deleted his contact information, blocked his number, and told herself it was finally done. She could be the wife and mother she was supposed to be. She could make this work. Emma's first birthday approached, and Michael was beside himself with excitement. We need to throw her a party, he said. Nothing huge, just family and close friends. I'll make a cake. Do you think she'd like chocolate or vanilla? And decorations. We need balloons and streamers and Michael, she's one. She won't remember any of this. But we will. And we'll have pictures to show her when she's older. I want her to know how much she was loved. How much she's always been loved. Claire's heart twisted. The party was small but beautiful. Michael had stayed up late the night before baking a cake shaped like the number 1, decorated with pink frosting and sprinkles. He'd hung streamers and balloons all over their small apartment. He'd invited Claire's parents, his parents, a few friends. Emma, wearing a tiny birthday crown, smashed her cake with delighted abandon while everyone laughed and took pictures. Michael's face was radiant with joy. "Thank you," he whispered to Claire as they stood together, watching Emma play with wrapping paper instead of the actual presents. "Thank you for this year. For her. For everything. I know. It's been hard, and I know I haven't been around as much as I should be, but I want you to know you and Emma are everything to me. Everything." Claire kissed him, tasting salt from tears she didn't realize she'd been crying. "I love you," she said. And meant it. But love, as it turned out, wasn't always enough. 2 days after Emma's first birthday party, Michael got a call from his mother. "Mijo," she said, her voice tight with worry. "I need to talk to you about something." "What's wrong, Mom? Are you okay? Is Dad okay?" "We're fine. It's about Emma." Michael's heart stopped. "Is she sick?" "What? No, she's healthy." "But Michael, at the party, I noticed something. And I've been thinking about it, and I can't stop thinking about it." "What are you talking about?" His mother took a deep breath. "Emma doesn't look like you. At all. Or like Claire, really. And I know babies change, but, Mijo, both you and your brother, you had that birthmark behind your left ear. Your father had it. Your grandfather had it. It runs in our family. Always has. Emma doesn't have it." "Mom, that's not how genetics works. Not every trait gets passed down." "I know. I know that. But there are other things too. Her eyes, they're staying blue. You and Claire both have brown eyes too. Brown-eyed parents can't have a blue-eyed child." I looked it up. Michael felt like the floor was tilting beneath him. "Mom, stop. You're being ridiculous." "Am I?" "Michael, I'm your mother. I love you more than anything in this world. And I'm telling you this because I love you. I think you need to get a paternity test." "I'm not doing that. That's insulting to Claire." "Is it? Or is it just being smart?" "I can't believe you're saying this. I can't believe you're not listening. Michael. Please. Just do the test. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize for the rest of my life. But if I'm right, you're not right. You can't be right." But after he hung up, Michael couldn't stop thinking about it. He looked at Emma, really looked at her. She did have blue eyes. And now that his mother mentioned it, she didn't really look like him. But babies didn't always look like their parents, did they? Sometimes they looked like grandparents or aunts or uncles. "This is crazy," he told himself. Claire wouldn't. She couldn't but the seed of doubt had been planted. He started noticing things. The way Claire was sometimes secretive with her phone. The way she'd been at the gym or at the store for hours at a time during her pregnancy. The way she sometimes seemed distant, distracted. No, he told himself. I'm being paranoid. Mom put this idea in my head, and now I'm seeing things that aren't. Their asterisk, but he couldn't let it go. 1 week later, while Claire was giving Emma a bath, Michael did something he'd never done before. He went through Claire's phone. She'd left it on the kitchen counter, unlocked. He told himself he was just going to glance at it, just to prove to himself that there was nothing to worry about. Most of it was innocuous. Texts with friends, her mother, her sister. Photos of Emma. Shopping lists and appointment reminders. But then he opened her deleted messages folder. She hadn't emptied it in a while, and there they were, months of messages. With someone named Sarah, Jim, that were very clearly not with anyone named Sarah. I miss you, when can I see you again, last night was incredible, I can't stop thinking about you, Michael's hands shook as he scrolled through them. They dated back to before Emma was born. During the pregnancy. During all those months when he'd been working himself to death to provide for his family. He felt like he was going to be sick. Michael? Claire's voice came from the bathroom. Can you grab me a towel? I forgot to bring one in. He set the phone down. Carefully, grabbed a towel from the linen closet, and handed it to her without making eye contact. Thanks, baby, she said, wrapping Emma in it. Michael went back to the kitchen and stared at the phone like it was a bomb about to explode. He needed to know the truth. All of it. Michael bought a paternity test kit from a pharmacy across town where no one would recognize him. He felt like a criminal, like he was doing something shameful, but he had to know. The kit was simple. A cheek swab for him, a cheek swab for Emma, mail it in, wait for results. He did it on a Saturday morning while Claire was at the grocery store. Emma was playing on her activity mat, babbling happily, completely unaware that her entire world might be about to change. I'm sorry, sweetheart, Michael whispered as he gently swabbed the inside of her cheek. I'm so sorry. Emma just laughed and grabbed at his face. He mailed the kit that afternoon and then waited. The results would take 3 to 5 business days. Those were the longest days of Michael's life. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He went through the motions of work and family life like a ghost, his mind always on that envelope that would eventually arrive. Claire noticed. Are you feeling okay? She asked. You seem off. Just tired, he lied. Work's been stressful. You should take a day off. Rest. Yeah, maybe. On the 4th day, the envelope arrived. Michael saw it in the mailbox when he got home from work. Plain, white. Innocuous. But holding the power to destroy everything. He sat in his car in the parking lot, the envelope in his hands, and stared at it for 20 minutes. Finally, he opened it. He read the results once. Then again. Then a third time, as if the words might change if he looked at them enough. Probability of paternity, 0%. Michael Rodriguez is excluded as the biological father of Emma Rodriguez. The world went silent. Everything, all the sleepless nights, all the extra shifts, all the sacrifice and love and devotion, it all came crashing down in an instant. Michael didn't remember walking up to the apartment. He didn't remember opening the door. But suddenly, he was standing in the living room and Claire was on the couch with Emma, and they both looked up at him with smiles that felt like knives. You're home early, Claire said. Then she saw his face. Michael? What's wrong? He held up the paper. What's that? It's a paternity test. The color drained from Claire's face. What? A paternity test. For Emma. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, flat. Emotionless. Would you like to know the results? Michael, why would you? She's not mine. The words came out harsh, sharp. Emma isn't my daughter. According to this test, there's a 0% chance that I'm her biological father. 0. So I'm going to ask you one time, Claire. One time. Who is he? Claire stood up, Emma in her arms, tears already streaming down her face. Michael, I can explain. Who is he? His name is Derek. We went to college together. We reconnected at a reunion, and Michael, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. How long? What? How long were you sleeping with him? It was just a few months. It ended before Emma was born. Michael, please, a few months. A few months while I was working 3 jobs to support you. To support a baby that isn't even mine. His voice rose to a shout, and Emma started crying. You're scaring her, Claire said, trying to soothe the baby. I'm scaring her? I'm scaring her? Michael laughed, a broken, terrible sound. Do you have any idea what you've done? Any idea at all? I made a mistake. I know I did. But Michael, I love you. I love our family. Emma is yours in every way that matters. Don't you dare say that. He pointed at her, his hand shaking. You let me believe she was mine. You let me bond with her. Love her, plan my entire life around her. I held her when she was born, Claire. I was there for her first word, her first steps, her first everything. And all of it was based on a lie. It doesn't have to change anything. You're her father. You've been her father. Biology doesn't get out. What? Get out of my apartment. Now. Take whatever you need for tonight and get out. Go to your parents, go to your sister, go to Derek for all I care. But get out of my sight before I do something I regret. Michael, please. Please, we can work through this. I'll do anything. You can't do anything. You can't undo this. You can't give me back the last 2 years of my life. You can't make Emma actually mine. He was crying now, tears streaming down his face. I loved you. I loved you so much. I would have done anything for you. I did do everything for you. And this is how you repay me? Claire was sobbing, Emma was wailing, and Michael felt like his heart was being ripped out of his chest. Please, Claire begged. Please don't do this. Think about Emma. She needs you. Emma needs her real father. So why don't you call Derek and tell him the good news? Michael turned and walked out of the apartment, leaving Claire and Emma behind. He got in his car and drove with no destination in mind, tears blurring his vision, his whole body shaking. He'd lost everything. His wife had betrayed him. His daughter wasn't his daughter. His entire life had been a lie. And he had no idea how he was supposed to survive this. Michael stayed at a motel that night, and the next night, and the night after that. He called in sick to work, ignored calls from Claire, from his parents, from friends. He lay in a generic room with beige walls and stared at the ceiling, feeling nothing and everything all at once. On the 3rd day, his brother Carlos showed up and pounded on the door until Michael answered. You look like hell, Carlos said, pushing his way into the room. Feel like it too. Mom told me what happened. About the test. Did she also tell you she was right? That I should have listened to her? She's not gloating, if that's what you're thinking. She's worried about you. We all are. Michael sat down on the bed, his head in his hands. I don't know what to do, Carlos. I don't know how to process this. Have you talked to a lawyer? Not yet. You need to. You need to protect yourself. Divorce, custody, finances, there's a lot to figure out. Custody? Michael laughed bitterly. She's not my daughter. Why would I want custody? Because you've been her father for a year. Because you love her. I don't know if I can love her anymore. Every time I think about her, all I see is Claire's betrayal. Carlos sat down next to him. I'm not going to tell you what to feel. But I am going to tell you that you need to take action. Sitting in this motel room isn't helping anyone. He was right. Michael knew he was right. The next day, Michael met with a divorce attorney named Patricia Chen, a sharp woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Tell me everything, she said. Michael did. The affair, the pregnancy, the year of believing Emma was his, the paternity test. Patricia took notes, her expression neutral. When he finished, she set down her pen. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. First, we file for divorce on grounds of adultery. Second, we're going to sue Claire for fraud and emotional distress. What she did, letting you believe you were the father. Accepting your financial support under false pretenses, that's actionable. Can we really do that? We can absolutely do that. And given the circumstances, I think we have a strong case. You have proof of the affair through those text messages, and you have the paternity test. The question is, what do you want out of this? I want her to understand what she did. I want there to be consequences. There will be. But Michael, I need to ask, what about Emma? Do you want any kind of custody or visitation? Michael's throat tightened. I don't know. I don't think I can. That's okay. You don't have to decide right now. But think about it. Because regardless of biology, you've been her father for a year. The courts might consider you a psychological parent, which could give you rights if you want them. I'll think about it. Good. In the meantime, I'll draw up the divorce papers and the lawsuit. This is going to get messy, Michael. Are you prepared for that? I don't think I have a choice. The divorce papers were served to Claire 2 weeks later. Michael wasn't there to see her reaction, but he heard about it from his mother, who'd been in contact with Claire's mother. She's devastated, his mother reported. She's begging for another chance. She doesn't get another chance, Michael said coldly. Not after what she did. The lawsuit came next, and that's when things got ugly. Claire hired her own attorney, and her defense was exactly what Michael expected. That she'd made a mistake, that Michael had been Emma's father in every meaningful way, that she'd never asked him to work 3 jobs or sacrifice so much. She's trying to paint you as a willing participant, Patricia explained. Like you chose to do all those things, so she doesn't owe you anything. That's insane. That's divorce court. The case went to trial 6 months later. Michael had to take time off work, had to relive every painful moment in front of a judge and courtroom full of strangers. Claire's attorney tried to make him look vindictive. Mr. Rodriguez, isn't it True that you're only pursuing this lawsuit out of spite? That you want to punish my client for ending your relationship? No, Michael said firmly. I'm pursuing this because she lied to me for 2 years. She let me believe I was a father when I wasn't. She accepted my financial support, my emotional support, my entire life is all based on a lie. That's not spite. That's justice. But you loved Emma, didn't you? You considered yourself her father? I did. Until I found out the truth. And now. Do you still love her? Michael's jaw tightened. I don't know how to love someone who's a constant reminder of the worst betrayal of my life. The courtroom was silent. Claire testified too, crying on the stand, talking about how sorry she was, how she'd made a terrible mistake, how she never meant to hurt anyone. I was confused, she said through tears. I was scared about becoming a mother, and Derek represented this escape from reality. But I love Michael. I've always loved Michael. And I know I destroyed that, but I'm begging him to forgive me. Michael felt nothing watching her cry. The woman he'd loved was gone, replaced by a stranger who destroyed his life. The judge took 2 weeks to render a decision. Michael won. The divorce was granted on grounds of adultery. Claire was ordered to pay Michael $75,000 in damages for fraud and emotional distress, money she didn't have, which meant she'd be paying it back in installments for years. It's not about the money, Michael told Patricia after the verdict. It's about her understanding that actions have consequences. She understands now, Patricia said. Trust me. As part of the divorce, Michael signed away all parental rights to Emma. He would have no custody, no visitation, no financial responsibility. She wasn't his daughter. She never had been. The day the divorce was finalized, Michael went home to his new apartment, a 1-bedroom across town that he'd moved into months ago, and poured himself a drink. He'd won. He'd gotten justice. So why did he still feel so empty? 2 years passed. Michael threw himself into his work. Without the financial burden of supporting a family, he was able to quit his warehouse job and his rideshare gig. He focused solely on his design career, and his work flourished. He got a promotion, then another. He moved into a nicer apartment. He went to therapy, working through the betrayal, the anger, the grief. It helped, slowly. He dated, though. Nothing serious. He wasn't ready for serious. And he tried not to think about Emma. But sometimes, late at night, he wondered. Was she walking now? Talking in full sentences? Did she ask about him? Did she remember him at all? He'd heard through the grapevine that Claire had reached out to Derek after the divorce, and that Derek had taken a paternity test. Emma was his. He'd stepped up, apparently, providing financial support, though he and Claire weren't together. Michael tried to feel nothing about that information. Mostly, he succeeded. Then, 3 years after the divorce, Michael met Sarah. She was a project manager at a company his firm was working with. She was smart, funny, grounded. She had warm brown eyes and an easy laugh. She'd been married before too, divorced without kids. I'm not looking for anything serious, Michael told her on their first date. I should be upfront about that. Neither am I, Sarah said. But we can still enjoy dinner, right? They could. Dinner turned into more dinners. Dinners turned into weekends together. Weekends turned into meeting each other's families. Sarah knew about Claire, about Emma. About all of it. Michael had been honest from the beginning. That must have been devastating, she said, holding his hand across the table at a restaurant one evening. It was. It still is, sometimes. Do you ever think about reaching out? To Emma, I mean? Michael shook his head. She's not mine. And even if I wanted to, Claire would never allow it. We don't speak. We haven't in years. But you were her father for a year. That has to count for something. It counts for a lot of pain. Sarah squeezed his hand. I'm sorry you went through that. You deserved better. Yeah, I did. 6 months later, Michael asked Sarah to marry him. She said yes. The wedding was small, intimate, nothing like the big celebration he'd had with Claire. This time, it felt real. Solid. Built on honesty and trust. I'm happy, Michael told his brother at the reception. I didn't think I'd ever be able to say that again, but I am. You deserve to be happy, Carlos said. After everything you went through, you deserve this. Michael and Sarah bought a house in the suburbs. They talked about having kids someday, maybe. They built a life together, a real life, based on truth. And Michael was happy. But there was always a but. Because even though Michael had moved on, even though he'd built a new life with a woman he loved and trusted, the betrayal had left a mark. He was more guarded now. More cautious. He paid attention to things he never would have noticed before: Sarah's phone, her schedule, her friendships. You're doing it again, Sarah said one evening, catching him glancing at her phone screen. Doing what? Checking. Michael. I'm not Claire. I'm not going to cheat on you. I know. I'm sorry. It's just that she broke something in you. I know. But baby, you can't live your whole life waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me. She was right. He knew she was right. But knowing and feeling were two different things. Sometimes, Michael would see a little girl with dark hair at the grocery store or the park, and his heart would skip a beat. He'd wonder if it was Emma, even though he knew it couldn't be. Emma would be 5 now. He didn't even know what she looked like anymore. Sometimes, late at night when Sarah was asleep beside him, Michael would lie awake and think about those first few months with Emma. The way she'd fit perfectly in the crook of his arm. The way she'd smile when she saw him come home. The way she'd fall asleep on his chest, her tiny hand curled around his finger. Those memories were precious and painful in equal measure. Do you regret it? Sarah asked him once. Signing away your parental rights? Michael thought about it. I don't know. Some days, yes. Some days, no. It's complicated. Life usually is. On Emma's 6th birthday, a date Michael still remembered. Still marked in his mind, he almost reached out to Claire. He drafted an email asking how Emma was doing, if she was happy, if she ever asked about him. But he deleted it before sending it. What would be the point? Emma wasn't his. She had a father, her biological father. Michael was just the man who'd been fooled into thinking he mattered. Still, he thought about her. He thought about Claire too, though not in the way he used to. He didn't love her anymore. He didn't even hate her anymore. But he thought about her, about how someone he trusted so completely could have betrayed him so thoroughly. Do you think people can change? He asked Sarah one night. I think people can grow, she said carefully. Why? I've been thinking. About Claire. About whether she regrets what she did. Whether she's different now. Does it matter? I don't know. Maybe not. But I wonder sometimes. Sarah rolled over to face him. Michael, you're allowed to wonder. You're allowed to have complicated feelings about all of this. What happened to you was traumatic. It changed you. But it doesn't have to define you. Doesn't it, though? I'm not the same person I was before. No, you're not. You're more careful. More aware. But you're also stronger. You survived something that would have broken a lot of people. And you built a new life. That takes courage. Michael pulled her close. I love you. You know that, right? I know. And I love you too. All of you. Even the parts that are still healing. 7 years after the divorce, Michael was at a coffee shop downtown, waiting for Sarah to meet him for lunch. He was scrolling through his phone when he heard a voice he hadn't heard in years. Michael? He looked up, and there she was. Claire. She looked older, more tired. Her hair was shorter, and there were lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. But it was unmistakably her. Claire. His voice was flat. I can't believe it's you. How are you? I'm fine. You look good. Really good. Thanks. An awkward silence stretched between them. I heard you got remarried, Claire said. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm glad you're happy. You deserve to be happy. Michael didn't respond. Listen, I know you probably don't want to talk to me, and I understand. But I've thought about you so much over the years. About what I did. And I just want you to know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What I did to you was unforgivable. You're right. It was. I know. I know that. I've been in therapy for years, trying to understand why I did it, how I could have hurt you like that. And the truth is, I was selfish. I was scared and selfish, and I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved to hear it years ago, and I was too much of a coward to say it. But I'm saying it now. You were a good man, Michael. You are a good man. And I'm sorry I couldn't see that when I had the chance. Michael felt a lump in his throat. How's Emma? Claire's face softened. She's good. She's 7 now. She's smart, funny, full of energy. She asks about you sometimes. She does? Yeah. She doesn't remember you. Not really. But she knows you were in her life when she was little. And sometimes she asks why you left. What do you tell her? I tell her the truth. That it's complicated. That adults make mistakes sometimes. That you loved her very much, but things didn't work out. Michael's eyes stung. Does she have a good life? She does. Derek is, he's a good father. He stepped up. And I'm trying to be a better mother than I was a wife. That's good. I'm glad. Another silence. I should go, Claire said. But Michael, thank you. For everything you did. For the year you spent loving Emma, even though she wasn't yours. For being there when I didn't deserve it. I know I can never make it up to you, but I want you to know that I see it. Now. I see what I had, and I see what I threw away. She turned to leave, then paused. I hope your new wife knows how lucky she is. And then she was gone. Michael sat there, his coffee growing cold, his mind racing. When Sarah arrived 10 minutes later, she took one look at his face and said, "What happened?" "I saw Claire." Sarah sat down across from him. And she apologized. She said Emma asks about me sometimes. How do you feel? I don't know. Sad. Relieved. Angry. All of it. Sarah reached across the table and took his hand. That's okay. You're allowed to feel all of it. I spent so many years trying not to think about Emma. Trying not to care. But I do care. I still care. Is that crazy? No. It's not crazy. It's human. You loved her, Michael. That doesn't just go away because the circumstances changed. I don't know what to do with this. You don't have to do anything. You can just feel it, and then we can go home, and we can move forward together. Michael squeezed her hand. What did I do to deserve you? You survived. You healed. You opened yourself up to love again. That's more than enough. The weight we carry 10 years after the divorce, Michael stood in the nursery of his and Sarah's house, holding their newborn son. They'd named him James, after Michael's grandfather. He has your eyes, Sarah said from the bed, exhausted but glowing. He's perfect, Michael whispered, staring down at the tiny face. And in that moment, holding his son, his actual, biological, undeniable son, Michael felt something break open inside him. All the walls he'd built, all the armor he'd worn, all the careful distance he'd maintained from his own heart, it crumbled. He wept. Michael? Sarah's voice was concerned. Baby, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong, he managed through tears. Everything's right. He's mine. Sarah, he's really mine. Sarah's own eyes filled with tears. Of course he's yours. He's ours. Michael sat down in the rocking chair beside the bed, James cradled against his chest. I didn't realize how much I needed this. To know, without any doubt, that this child is mine. That I'm his father and no one can ever take that away from me. No one can, Sarah said softly. And Michael, you're going to be an amazing father. You already are. I hope so. I'm terrified of messing this up. Every parent is terrified. But you have something a lot of fathers don't have, you know exactly how precious this is. You won't take a single moment for granted. She was right. Michael knew she was right. Over the next few weeks, as Michael adjusted to life as a new father again, he found himself thinking about Emma more than he had in years. Not with anger or bitterness, but with a strange sort of wistfulness. James was 3 weeks old when Michael finally voiced the thought that had been haunting him. I want to reach out to Claire, he told Sarah one night after they'd put James down to sleep. About Emma. Sarah set down the book she'd been reading. Okay. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm thinking that Emma is 8 years old now. And I was her father for the first year of her life. And maybe she deserves to know that I didn't abandon her because I didn't love her. That I left because I was hurt and broken, but that I did love her. I do love her, in a complicated way. That's a big step. Michael. Are you sure you're ready for that? I don't know if I'll ever be ready. But having James, it's made me realize that Emma was innocent in all of this. She didn't ask to be born into that situation. And maybe I can't be her father, but maybe I can give her some closure. Some understanding. What about Claire? Are you prepared to have her back in your life, even peripherally? Michael thought about it. Claire and I will never be friends. But we're both older now. We've both grown. Maybe we can at least be civil. For Emma's sake. Sarah nodded slowly. If this is what you need to do, I support you. But promise me something, promise me you'll protect yourself. Don't let this reopen wounds that have finally healed. I promise. The next day, Michael drafted an email to Claire. He rewrote it 7 times before finally sending it. Claire, I hope this message finds you and Emma well. I've been thinking a lot lately about the past, about Emma, about everything that happened. I'm not reaching out to rehash old pain or to reopen wounds. I'm reaching out because I think Emma deserves to know some things, and I'd like the opportunity to tell her myself if you're open to it. I want her to know that I loved her during that first year of her life. That I didn't leave because of anything she did or because she wasn't lovable. I left because I was hurt and didn't know how to process what had happened. But she was innocent in all of this, and I don't want her to grow up thinking otherwise. I'm not trying to insert myself back into your life or to claim any parental rights. I just want Emma to have some answers if she has questions. If you think this would be harmful to her or if you're not comfortable with it, I'll respect that decision and won't contact you again. I've moved on with my life. I'm happily remarried, and my wife and I just had a son. I'm in a good place. And I hope you are too. But this feels like something I need to do, for Emma's sake and for my own peace of mind. Let me know what you think. Michael. He hit send before he could second-guess himself again. Claire's response came 2 days later. Michael, thank you for reaching out. I've thought about contacting you so many times over the years, but I never had the courage. I'm glad you took that step. Emma does ask about you more and more as she gets older. She knows the basics, that you were in her life when she was a baby, that you and I divorced, that Derek is her biological father. But she doesn't understand why you left, and I've struggled with how to explain it in a way that doesn't make you the villain or make me look like the terrible person I was. I think it would be good for her to hear from you, to know that you cared about her. She's a smart, sensitive kid, and I think she can handle the truth, or at least an age-appropriate version of it. Would you be willing to meet with her? Maybe at a neutral location, like a park? I could be there too, if that makes you more comfortable, or I could give you some time alone with her. Whatever you think is best. Congratulations on your son. I'm genuinely happy for you, Michael. You deserve all the happiness in the world after what I put you through. Claire. Michael showed the email to Sarah. She wants me to meet Emma, he said, his voice shaking slightly. How do you feel about that? Terrified. But also, like it's the right thing to do. Then do it. I'll be here when you get back. They arranged to meet at a park on a Saturday afternoon. Michael arrived early, his heart pounding, his palms sweaty. He sat on a bench and watched children play, wondering which one was Emma. Then he saw her. She was walking with Claire, holding her mother's hand. She was tall for 8, with long dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was wearing jeans and a purple t-shirt, and she was looking around nervously. Claire spotted Michael and said something to Emma, pointing in his direction. Emma's eyes widened, and she suddenly looked very small and uncertain. Michael stood up as they approached. "Hi," he said, his voice coming out rougher than he'd intended. "Hi," Claire replied. She looked down at Emma. "Emma, this is Michael. He's the person I told you about. The one who was in your life when you were a baby." Emma stared up at him with wide blue eyes, Derek's eyes, Michael realized with a pang. "Hi, Emma," Michael said, kneeling down so he was at her eye level. "It's really nice to meet you." "Well, to meet you again, I guess. I don't remember you," Emma said quietly. "I know. You were very little. But I remember you. You were a beautiful baby, and you're a beautiful kid now." Emma bit her lip. "Why did you leave?" Michael glanced up at Claire, who nodded encouragingly. "That's a really good question," Michael said. "And I want to be honest with you, but some of this is adult stuff that's complicated. The simple answer is that your mom and I had some problems in our marriage, and we decided it was better for everyone if we weren't together anymore. And when that happened, I thought the best thing for you was to let your real dad, Derek, be your dad. Does that make sense? I guess. But Mom said you took care of me when I was little. That you loved me." Michael felt his throat tighten. "I did. I really did. I loved you so much, Emma. I used to rock you to sleep and read you stories and make silly faces to make you laugh. You were one of the best things that ever happened to me. Then why didn't you want to be my dad anymore?" And there it was, the question Michael had been dreading. "It's not that I didn't want to be your dad," he said carefully. "It's that I found out I wasn't your biological father, and that hurt me a lot. It made me confused and sad, and I didn't handle it very well. I thought the best thing was to step away and let your real father take care of you. But Emma, I want you to know something really important. None of what happened was your fault. Not even a little bit. You were perfect then, and I'm sure you're perfect now. The problems were between the adults, not because of you." Emma's eyes were shiny with tears. "Do you still love me?" Michael's heart broke. I care about you, Emma. I always will. But I have a new family now, a new son, and that's where my life is. But I wanted you to know that I didn't leave because you weren't lovable or because you did something wrong. I left because I was hurt and didn't know how to stay. And I'm sorry for that. You deserved better." A tear rolled down Emma's cheek. "I used to wonder if I did something bad. If that's why you went away." "Oh, Emma." Michael reached out and wiped the tear away with his thumb. "No. Never. You were just a baby. You didn't do anything wrong. I promise you that." Emma suddenly stepped forward and hugged him. Michael froze for a moment, then wrapped his arms around her, holding her the way he'd held her as an infant. "Thank you for coming," Emma whispered. "I needed to know. I'm glad I came too." They pulled apart, and Emma wiped her eyes. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you have pictures of me when I was a baby with you?" Michael felt a lump in his throat. "I do. I have a whole album. I couldn't bring myself to throw them away. Would you like to see them sometime?" Emma nodded eagerly. "Yes. Please." Michael looked up at Claire. Is that okay with you? It's fine, Claire said softly. More than fine. They sat on the bench together, the three of them, and talked for another hour. Michael told Emma stories about her first year, her first laugh, the time she spit up on him right before an important work meeting, the way she used to fall asleep on his chest. Emma listened, soaking up every detail like she was starving for them. Finally, Claire said, "We should probably get going. Emma has a soccer game in an hour." You play soccer? Michael asked. Emma nodded proudly. I'm a midfielder. That's great. I bet you're really good. I'm okay. They stood up, and Michael felt the weight of goodbye settling over them. Thank you for this, Claire said. Really? It means more than you know. Thank you for letting me, Michael replied. Emma hugged him one more time. Will I see you again? Michael hesitated, then said, if your mom is okay with it. Maybe we could meet up once in a while. Not as father and daughter, but as people who care about each other. Would you like that? Yes. Then we'll figure it out. As Michael drove home, he felt lighter than he had in years. He'd been carrying the weight of guilt and anger for so long, and finally, he'd been able to set some of it down. When he got home, Sarah was feeding James in the nursery. How did it go? She asked. Michael sat down beside her, watching his son eat. It was hard, but good. Really good. Emma needed to hear that she wasn't to blame, and I needed to tell her that. I think we both got some closure. Are you going to see her again? Maybe. Occasionally. Just to check in, let her know I'm still here. If she needs answers. But I'm not trying to be her father. Derek is her father. I'm just someone who was there once, and who still cares. Sarah leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm proud of you. That took a lot of courage. I couldn't have done it without you. Without James. Having him made me realize that Emma deserved to know the truth. That she deserved not to carry my pain. James finished eating and let out a small burp. Michael laughed and took him from Sarah, holding him against his chest. You know what's crazy? Michael said. For years, I thought that what happened with Claire and Emma was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And it was terrible. It broke me in ways I didn't know I could be broken. But it also made me who I am now. It made me appreciate this you, James, our family, in a way I might not have otherwise. Are you saying you're grateful for what happened? No. I wouldn't go that far. But I'm grateful for where I ended up. For who I ended up with. The pain shaped me, but it doesn't define me anymore. Sarah kissed his cheek. That's all any of us can hope for. To survive the pain and come out the other side. 5 years passed. Michael kept his word and met with Emma 3 or 4 times a year. They'd get coffee, hot chocolate for Emma, and catch up. He heard about her school, her friends, her interests. She showed him report cards and told him about soccer tournaments. He never tried to be her father. Derek was her father, and from what Michael could see, he was doing a good job. But Michael was someone Emma could talk to, someone who represented a piece of her history that she needed to understand. You're like a bonus uncle, Emma told him once. When she was 12. Michael had laughed. I'll take that. Claire remarried. Too, not to Derek, but to a man named Tom who worked as a teacher. From what Emma said, He was kind and stable. Michael was glad. He didn't wish Claire ill. He'd moved past that. James grew into a bright, energetic 5-year-old who loved dinosaurs and building blocks. Michael and Sarah had another child too, a daughter named Lily, who was 3 and already showing signs of being as stubborn as her mother. Michael's career flourished. He'd become a creative director at his firm, mentoring younger designers the way he wished someone had mentored him. He'd learned to set boundaries, to not sacrifice his health and happiness for work. He'd learned, in other words, to value himself. One evening, when James was in bed and Lily was having a tea party with her stuffed animals, Sarah found Michael in his office, looking at an old photo album. "What are you looking at?" she asked. "Pictures of Emma. From when she was a baby." Sarah sat down beside him. "You still think about that time?" "Sometimes. Not as much as I used to. But, yeah, sometimes." "Does it still hurt?" Michael considered the question. "It's like an old injury that aches when it rains. Most of the time, I don't notice it. But every now and then, something triggers it, and I remember. Not just the pain, but everything. The good parts too." "What were the good parts?" "The hope. The excitement of becoming a father for the first time. The way Emma used to look at me like I was her whole world. Even though it was based on a lie, those feelings were real. My love for her was real." "Do you regret meeting with her all these years?" "No. Not at all. I think it was the right thing to do. For her and for me. It gave us both closure, and it let me be part of her life in a small way without pretending to be something I'm not." Sarah took his hand. "You're a good man, Michael Rodriguez. You know that?" "I'm trying to be. That's all any of us can do, try to be better than we were yesterday." "Well, you're succeeding." Michael closed the album and pulled Sarah close. "I'm lucky. After everything that happened, I could have become bitter and closed off. But I found you, and you helped me heal. You helped me believe in love again. We helped each other. That's what partners do." They sat together in comfortable silence, the sounds of their children playing in the background, the life they'd built together solid and real around them. Michael thought about Claire sometimes, but not with anger. He thought about Emma and hoped she was happy. He thought about the man he'd been, exhausted, devoted, blind to the betrayal happening right in front of him. But mostly, he thought about the man he'd become. Stronger. Wiser. More careful, yes, but also more grateful. He didn't take Sarah for granted. He didn't take his children for granted. He didn't take a single moment of his life for granted. Because he knew, in a way that people who haven't been betrayed can't fully understand, just how quickly everything can fall apart. But he also knew something else. That even after everything falls apart, you can build something new. Something different, maybe not perfect, but real and honest and worth fighting for. On a crisp autumn afternoon, 13 years after the divorce, Michael received a text from Emma. She was 16 now, a sophomore in high school. "Can we meet? I have something I want to talk to you about." They met at their usual coffee shop. Emma had grown into a beautiful young woman, confident and articulate. She ordered a caramel latte and sat across from Michael with a serious expression. "What's on your mind?" Michael asked. "I'm doing a project for my psychology class," Emma said. "About family dynamics and how they shape us. And I've been thinking a lot about my own." Family, about you, about my dad, about my mom, about everything that happened. Okay. And I realized I never really thanked you. For meeting with me all these years. For being honest with me. For not pretending that everything was simple when it wasn't. Michael felt his throat tighten. You don't have to thank me, Emma. Yes, I do. Because you didn't have to do any of this. You could have walked away. Completely and never looked back. But you didn't. You kept showing up, even when it must have been hard. Even when I'm sure it brought back painful memories. You deserve to have answers. To know that you weren't to blame. I know that now. But when I was 8, I didn't. And if you hadn't come to that park that day, I might have spent my whole life thinking I was the reason you left. Emma paused, stirring her coffee. I also want you to know, I understand now. Why you couldn't stay. Why it hurt too much. I'm older now, and I get it. My mom made a terrible choice. And you were the one who paid for it. That wasn't fair. Your mom was going through something too. I'm not excusing what she did, but people are complicated. They make mistakes. I know. And she spent my whole life trying to make up for it. She's a good mom. But she knows she wasn't a good wife to you. Michael nodded. I'm glad she's been a good mom. You deserved that. Can I ask you something? And I want you to be totally honest. Of course. Do you ever regret it? Not being my dad? Like, if you could go back and somehow make it work, would you? Michael took a deep breath. This was the question he'd been asking himself for 13 years. That's complicated, he said finally. If I'd stayed, I don't think I could have been a good father to you. The resentment and pain would have poisoned everything. You would have grown up with a dad who was there physically but not emotionally. That wouldn't have been fair to you. But do you regret not being my dad? I regret that the circumstances were what they were. I regret that your mom and I couldn't make it work. But Emma, you have a dad. Derek is your dad. And from everything you've told me over the years, he's a good one. That's what matters. He is. But you were important too. You're still important. And you're important to me. But in a different way than James and Lily are. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It does. Emma smiled. I think that's what I needed to hear. That it's okay for relationships to be complicated. That you can care about someone without them being your parent or your child. That there are all these shades of gray. Life is mostly shades of gray, Michael said. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying. They talked for another hour, and when they parted ways, Emma hugged him tight. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. Thank you for giving me the chance to be part of your life, even in this small way. As Michael drove home, he thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, the healing. The rebuilding. He thought about Claire and how she destroyed something precious because she was scared and selfish. He thought about how people make choices that ripple out in ways they can't predict, affecting lives they never meant to touch. He thought about Emma, innocent in all of it, just trying to understand her place in the world. He thought about Sarah and James and Lily, the family he'd built from the ashes of his first one. And he realized something. He'd spent so many years trying to forget Claire, trying to erase that chapter of his life. But maybe that was the wrong approach. Maybe the point wasn't to forget, but to integrate. To accept that yes, this terrible thing happened, and yes, it changed him, but it didn't destroy him. The betrayal would always be part of his story. The scar would always be there. But scars are proof that you survived. That you healed. That you were strong enough to keep going. When Michael got home, Sarah was making dinner while James helped, and Lily helped by making a mess with flour. How was Emma? Sarah asked. Good. Really good, actually. She's growing into an amazing young woman. I'm glad you have that relationship with her. I know it's not always easy, but I think it's good. For both of you. Michael wrapped his arms around Sarah from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. I love you. Have I told you that today? Only 3 times. But I'll never get tired of hearing it. I love you. And I'm grateful for you. For this life. For our family. Even with all the complications? Especially with all the complications. They're what make it real. That night, after the kids were in bed, Michael sat down and wrote in the journal his therapist had encouraged him to keep. 13 years ago, I thought my life was over. I thought I'd never trust again, never love again, never be happy again. I was wrong. The betrayal changed me. It made me more cautious, more guarded. There are still moments when I catch myself checking Sarah's phone or wondering where she is when she's late coming home. The scar is still there. But I've built a good life. A real life. With a woman who is honest and true, with children who are mine in every possible way, with work that fulfills me. I see Emma a few times a year, and that's enough. She's not my daughter, but she's not nothing to me either. She's a reminder of a painful time, but also of my capacity to love, to forgive, to move forward. I still think about Claire sometimes. Not with love, not with hate, but with a kind of distant curiosity. I wonder if she's happy. I wonder if she regrets what she did. I wonder if she ever thinks about what we could have been if she'd been honest. But mostly, I think about the future. About James's soccer games and Lily's dance recitals. About growing old with Sarah. About becoming a grandfather someday. About all the moments I almost missed because of someone else's betrayal. The truth is, this betrayal leaves a mark. It changes you in fundamental ways. You can heal, you can move on, you can build a new life, but you never quite go back to who you were before. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the point isn't to go back, but to go forward. To become someone new. Someone stronger, wiser, more grateful for what they have. I'm not the man I was at 32, working 3 jobs, believing in a love that was a lie. I'm 45 now, with gray in my hair and lines on my face and a heart that's been broken and healed. I'm a husband. A father. A friend. A survivor. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. The story of Michael and Claire is a story about betrayal, but it's also a story about resilience. It's about how one person's choices can devastate another person's life, and how the innocent, like Emma, get caught in the crossfire. It's about how trust, once broken, can never be fully restored. Michael moved on, remarried, built a new family, but the scar remained. He never quite trusted the same way again. He never quite loved with the same abandon. And that's the real cost of betrayal. Not just the immediate pain, but the permanent change it creates in someone's ability to be vulnerable. But it's also a story about healing. About how even after the worst happens, life continues. New relationships form. New families are built. New happiness is found. It's not the same happiness. It's not the innocent, trusting happiness of before. It's a more complicated happiness, one that exists alongside caution and old wounds. But it's real. And it's worth fighting for. Michael learned that moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean the pain disappears or the betrayal stops mattering. It means learning to carry it without letting it crush you. It means building a new life while acknowledging that the old life still affects you. He learned that people are complicated. That Claire could be both the woman who destroyed him and a human being who made terrible mistakes out of fear and selfishness. That Emma could be both a reminder of his greatest pain and a person worthy of compassion and honesty. He learned that love is a choice you make every day. That marriage is built on trust, and trust is built on honesty, and when those foundations crack, sometimes the only option is to start over with someone new. Most importantly, he learned that he was strong enough to survive. That he could be betrayed, devastated, broken, and still rebuild. Still love again. Still trust again, even if more carefully. The scar remained. It always would. But scars are proof that you survived something that should have destroyed you. And sometimes, that's the greatest victory of all. The end.